What's up, everybody? Gaonan here, and welcome to episode 4 of Drafting to Masters. Our last episode was our first foray into the Dark Frontier draft format, and in case you missed it, I've included the playlist for this season in the top right corner of this video. Also, I've recorded a couple of shows, one with the Farming Eternal podcast with Barefoot Farmer and Patamaru, and then I also just recorded FE Cast with Sunnyvale and some of my teammates where we talked about different aspects of the format, including limited discussion. So if you're interested in some draft-focused Dark Frontier format, I would highly recommend checking both of those out. Finally, I'm getting very close to that 300 subscriber milestone on YouTube, and I would really appreciate your support. So if you feel so inclined, please hit the picture in the bottom right corner of this video to subscribe to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into our second Dark Frontier draft. Svetya's Sanctum. This seems like it could be pretty good in limited. It makes all your spells into units, so I like that quite a bit. Unseen Ghostblade has a similar effect on it, but I don't think it's really worth it at 6. I don't think you really want to be playing Reread. Remembrance is decent. We had some success with it in our first draft. Submerged Titan is nice. Cobalt Coin is incredible. Really like this card. Totally reasonable to play this even if you aren't splashing Primal. Toride Test Pilot seems pretty reasonable. It's basically Tower Top Patrol with extra text, so I like that quite a bit. But I'm just going to take Svetya's Sanctum and see if this is a reasonable card in draft. If not, we've at least continued building our collection of Dark Frontier cards. Search Party seems pretty good with Sanctum. I like that it has Warp and helps you kind of go wide. I think other reasonable cards in this pack are Steadfast Paladin, gives you free onslaught triggers, so that's really nice. Corrupted Behemoth is just a solid time fatty, really good. I would compare it to Power Breach Sentinel in the previous draft format. And then the other cards are probably below these. I do like Razor Quill, but not sure if Argenport is where you want to be for twisting necessarily. I think I just want to take Corrupted Behemoth. I think it's really strong and probably one of the best time commons, so I'm going to take it here, even though it doesn't synergize necessarily with our first pick and does put us into our 2-color lane, but we don't know if we're going to be Justice or Time for sure. We'll just have to see what comes our way. Oh my goodness, Blurred Digimoloch. I think this card's really good. It costs 7 less if you have 7 attack or more among your units. So when you're in this board stall situation, this guy can come out for very cheap. Works really well with Ooze and Horn of Plenty, so I think this is a slam dunk pick here. Other cards for us to consider would be Steadfast Paladin, Cobalt Coin. I think this card is getting passed way too frequently. Otherwise, Primal is maybe wide open, but I'm just going to take the on-color card that seems pretty strong. So we'll take that here. Don't think Patience makes a lot of sense. You've got some decent Primal cards coming through, but nothing that's super special. The Justice cards are okay. I'm not as high on Auric Lookout just because to me this is Treasury Guard. It's not anything special. It does have Scout, so that's nice because it helps smooth your draws out, but I see a lot of people shift this on 2 and I'm just like, really? That's what you want to be doing? I feel like there are better things to be doing on 2. So I'm going to take this Displaced Oroctodon. It also has Scout on it, can be played on turn 1, but often I'm just going to play this guy on turn 2 as a 2/2 and hit my opponent while they're sitting there shifting guys out. So I like this guy quite a bit. Okay, nice. I think High Alert is easy pick here, really good synergy with Svetya's Sanctum, and I think it's just a strong trick. The fact that you can warp it off the top of your deck is really cool for a fast spell, so I really like this card. Other cards worth mentioning here are probably Trickster Mage. I don't think this is a high priority pick, but I think it's decent. Probably tells us that time is going to be open the rest of the way in packs 1 and 4. Razor Quill is decent too. Xenon is a good place for the twist deck, so you could go that direction, but I'm just going to take the high alert here. Roosting Warhawk is a really nice onslaught payoff. I like it quite a bit. A 4/3 flyer for 5 is pretty strong. There's also coins here which are very good, and then you have Arcanum Elite. I think this card is better in Xenon when you're more focused on twist, so I'm just going to take the solid unit in Roosting Warhawk. I think this card is like always going to make your deck very solid playable. Okay, Horn of Plenty comes through. We'll definitely take that here. Other consideration would have been something like Heist, maybe even Warfront Missionary. This is like also maybe free onslaught triggers, so I think this card's pretty reasonable, but it seems like we're in the right colors at this point. Here we'll take the Amber Coin. It's a nice onslaught card. I don't think Twin Sai is anything special, and Blink is okay, but also nothing special, so I'm just going to take the coin here. I guess we'll take coin since we don't have anything else at this point. Maybe we want to splash something in Shadow. We will take the Cobalt coin. We will likely play this. Nothing else here is special. And Yeti Instigator. Oh, this is a weak pack. Roland's Memorial does synergize with Svetya's Sanctum in that you have this Spells Matters theme going on, so we probably need to get some decent spells in this pack. So I think it's fine to take Roland's Memorial here because there's not a lot else here for us. If we weren't going to take Roland's Memorial, we'd probably be taking maybe Detain or Meditation, maybe Disassociate, but I'm just going to take the Roland's Memorial and see if we can get some spells here to make this deck work. Seed of Progress is good fixing. Sharpened Reflex is really nice. Island's Frost Rider is very good. I don't think we're splashing for this though because it's double primal. Even Soaring Guard I think is reasonable in this format. There are some cards that care about armor. It allows you to get onslaught triggers in, so I think this card's probably fine, but I think I'm just going to take the Sharpened Reflex. Wish I could take the Seed of Progress or the Frost Rider. I might be totally wrong in not taking Frost Rider here because it is a pretty big bomb, but I feel like we're pretty well on the path that we've started. Scorpion Wasp is fantastic. We'll definitely take that here. If this wasn't here, I'd be taking the Soaring Guard. Tinker Apprentice, don't think it's anything super special. Could take Death Strike. We do have some decent time bodies where Death Strike could be good. Could also just take another Sharpened Reflexes. I think that's pretty reasonable, so I'm going to do that here. This time we'll take Learned Herbalist, helps us fix if we wanted to splash. Argenport Soldier is totally reasonable as well, but I like Learned Herbalist. It gives us more spells to help with Roland's Memorial and Svetya's Sanctum, so we'll take that here. A second Learned Herbalist could be nice. We could also take Watchful Amanara, and I think I'm going to go with another Herbalist. Helps fix us, helps get us to higher levels of power, helps give us more spells. So I think this really fits well with our deck. Also synergizes with Roland's Memorial because you could discard a unit to trigger it. So I like that too. Okay, over the third Sharpened Reflex, I think we can take Death Strike. Freewing Glider is a reasonable splash as well. And we do have some fixing with the Learned Herbalist and the Cobalt coin, but I'm just going to take Death Strike here. I think it's probably going to fit in to our deck pretty well because we're going to have some big time bodies. Meditation is only reasonable because we have Death Strike. I'd rather just take a card that doesn't rely on that synergy and just take Dispel here, so that's what I'm going to do. We'll take the Spire Spell Sword. There might be a chance we actually play this given how our deck is shaping up. Viper's Bite probably won't play it, but maybe we do. You could put this on one of these overwhelmed time guys and just kill somebody out of nowhere when they weren't expecting it. So I like taking Viper's Bite here. Pack Hunt is a reasonable spell. It's not great, but it's playable. And Horned Vorlunk will probably make our deck. I don't think Shieldsmith is very good. We're not going to have a ton of armor or anything like that. We could just take another Learned Herbalist. We could take Training Ground here. I think either one of these is reasonable. Even Soaring Guard would be fine, but I think these two should be rated higher than Soaring Guard. So do we want a third Learned Herbalist? I don't think so. I'm just going to take the Training Ground in this situation. Sunken Tower, wow. So we could take Porcelain Mask, would give all our units Overwhelm. I don't know how much that matters. Maybe with Roland's Memorial it does. Could also just take Tinker. Tinker's not great, but it is smoothing out your draws. I think I'm going to go for more of the interaction with Porcelain Mask. Okay, this time I think we'll take Amanera. We've got a Training Ground already, so I think it makes sense to take a nice blocker for early in the game. We could take another Amanera, we could take another Training Ground. Either one is reasonable. We do have Horn of Plenty, so all these little tokens we're going to get from Svetya's Sanctum do add up. But yeah, we're pretty low on units, so I'm just going to take another Amanera here. Do we play a third Amanera? Could maybe take Excavation Assistant just to help slow your opponent down. It's a really good Roland's Memorial target if you've got this late in the game. And you could even use Sharpened Reflex on it to make it a Tower Top Patrol. So I think I actually like this here over the Amanera. We'll go for another Learned Herbalist, gives us another unit and another spell. So we like that quite a bit. We've already got the Excavation Assistant, so we'll take the Copper Hall Recruit in this situation. Guess we'll take Coastal Diplomat, but probably not play it. Envelop is playable given all the unblockable things that are out there, but we likely won't play this card. Let's go with the Familiar. We already have one Horned Vorlunk. Another Training Ground? My goodness. And Pit Fighter. Okay, so we have a decent amount of units at this point. We have this Spells Matter theme going on with Roland's Memorial and Svetya's Sanctum. We have Horn of Plenty to help buff all those tiny units we're going to get from Svetya's Sanctum because most of our spells are pretty cheap. We have Pack Hunt as a potential finisher with all those small guys. So this is interesting because we could take another relic. Do we have much warp? I don't really think so. So we only have one warp unit, so I don't think taking Ancient Clock Tower makes a lot of sense. I'm leaning more towards Devotee of the Sands, Quicksilver Ooze, Roosting Warhawk. I think all of these are reasonable pickups for us. We probably want some more early game, and Devotee gets us to higher levels of power sooner, so I think it's reasonable to take this. Venomous Mount seems quite good as well, but it is a little bit more expensive. You could shift this on turn 3 really good with something that can just hold back your opponent. So really good on like a Watchful Amanera or a Copper Hall Recruit, but I'm not sure if it's really worth picking up. I feel like we have enough ways to deal with our opponent's units, so I'd rather just be on a more proactive game plan where we're ramping and getting to higher levels of power. So I'm going to take the Devotee here, but could totally be wrong with this pick. Expedition Leader doesn't make a lot of sense. We don't have much shift, and I don't plan on shifting many of my guys. Retribution is really good, rewards you for being aggressive, and we do have some tiny flyers that can potentially get in for us, so makes Retribution even better. There's another Horn of Plenty, but I think I'd rather just take the proactive removal with Retribution. I think it's definitely between these two cards. Everything else that's in our colors is below these. So I'm just going to take the Retribution here because it plays well with Svetya's Sanctum and keeps us aggressive and pushing forward. So we could take Reweave here. It is another spell. Could also take Quicksilver Ooze to help with our kind of go wide theme we have going on. Reweave is hard to evaluate. I think I'm just going to take Ooze here. It's just a solid card in this format, I think. So this is a permanent +1/+1 when you play a spell. So this could be pretty good in our deck given how many spells we have. I don't know if we're going to play all of them, but seems like it could be reasonable. Omnivorous Vorlunk seems fine. It's just a removal spell essentially. But I'm going to go all in on this Spells Matter thing we have going on with the Roland's Memorial and Svetya's Sanctum and take the Spell Strike Sorceress as well. I think taking this Cobalt Ring is great. It's another piece of removal for us. Going to be better for us than Warfront Missionary. So yeah, I'll definitely take Cobalt Coin. Given our Spells Matters theme, I think I like Mute more than Omnivorous Vorlunk. Another High Alert, we'll definitely take that. So this time we could take Steadfast Paladin. Would allow us to make sure we can get our Onslaught triggers. I don't think we have a ton, but there are some key ones like these Cobalt coins that we might play, so I think it's worth taking here. Don't think we'll play Sudden Stampede, but we'll take it. Another Amber coin, that's fine. Death from Above, could potentially play this. Might be a reasonable splash as a finisher. We ended up with a lot of playables, and I think this deck has the potential to be really cool with the Roland's Memorial and the Svetya's Sanctum. So let's cut these coins first. And then looking at spells, I think the worst ones are Viper's Bite, maybe Mute. We've got 2 High Alerts, Retribution, Dispel, Death Strike. Pack Hunt maybe be going too far. I don't know if it's really necessary. I think we'll have some tiny flyers that can close out games for us potentially. So I don't know if we really need this Pack Hunt. I think we can likely cut some other units because we do have these training grounds that count as units. I want to keep basically all our 1s and 2s. I think our 3s and our 4s are probably where we want to make cuts. And Horn Vorlunk is nothing special, so I think that can go. Copper Hall Recruit is okay. I think Avarax Familiar could be a cut, but we probably want to keep it just because it's another flyer. Don't really want to cut Ooze. Not sure about Spell Strike Sorceress. Kind of want to keep it. We might have enough interaction, so we probably don't need this Porcelain Mask. So I think we can get rid of that. And then I think we have probably just one more cut. I think this is going to be a 17 power deck. I'm thinking about cutting 1 Sharpened Reflex because I kind of like everything else. So yeah, let's cut 1 Sharpened Reflex. And then I think this is our deck. Now we need to get the power added. So I'm going to play these Cobalt coins, I think, unless it's just too unreasonable. So this is 8-7 split. Seems fine. And then you're just playing 2 Cobalt coins as additional pieces of removal. We only have double justice, so that's really good. And we have fixing with Learned Herbalist to find us the additional justice, so yeah, I think this is totally reasonable. Oh, there's another Learned Herbalist that we're not playing. Kind of just want to take out Copper Hall Recruit. Yeah, let's do that. So I think this is our deck. Just want to close out this drafting and deck building portion of episode 4 by saying thank you for being here. I appreciate you guys joining me as I learn about Dark Frontier, and I hope you're learning along the way with me. If you are enjoying the content, don't forget to hit that subscribe picture in the bottom right corner of this video. Next, what will happen is we'll go into the games portion of the episode where we'll first talk about the deck, how I think it'll do, and then we'll actually play some games. So I hope to see you in my next video.